Another huge area for the Virgin Islands this year was, of course, transport and tourism.
Of course.
And I mean, across the world, things are really coming back from the COVID-19 pandemic and people are feeling safe traveling again. So in this segment, we take a look at the major developments that took place in transport and tourism. Here are the top developments to come about this year. The return of American Airlines. In June, the territory welcomed the return of a non-stop American Airlines flight between the Terrence B. Lettsome International Airport and the Miami International Airport. This was a significant development for travel and tourism, creating a direct link for travel between the BVI and the USA mainland for the first time since the 1980s. With consideration for the size of the airport, which has still yet to undergo expansion, the airline has been operating the route with an Embraer E175 aircraft. Our team was on the ground to capture the historic return and captured the landing and festivities in all their glory. In addition to providing residents the benefit of convenient connections for business and leisure travel across American Airlines' route network, the flights are expected to bring increased numbers of tourists to the territory. Before the inaugural flight had even taken place, American Airlines had already added 5 additional flights to the BVI in its June schedule. And within weeks of the inaugural flight, 2 weeks to be exact, American Airlines announced that it would be doubling its number of flights to the territory for the winter season, offering twice daily flights in December. Managing Director for the BVI Airports Authority, Kurt Minal, said that this increase demonstrated a high level of confidence that the airline has in the BVI BVI as a top tourism destination. He added that the increase would further positively impact passenger movements at the Terence B. Lettsome International Airport. Since the commissioning of the asphalt plant, significant progress has been made in improving and upgrading the road infrastructure in the Virgin Islands. As outlined in his budget address, Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley has allocated $2.6 million in the 2024 budget for road improvements across primary roads in Tortola, Virgin Gorda, and Just Van Dyke. Minister for Communications and Works, Honorable Kai Reimer, highlighted plans for a comprehensive reconstruction of road networks over a 2-year period. This will involve installing proper drainage, rebuilding road bases, and resurfacing roads. Specific projects mentioned include upgrade of the road from Paraquita Bay to Param Town, as well as phased works from Fat Hogs Bay to Hodges Creek. The government also awarded a major contract for asphalt paving and road markings across primary roads across the islands. The project scope encompasses excavation and reconstruction of deteriorated sections, installation of 19 miles of drainage infrastructure, contingencies for retaining walls, and road markings. In various statements, Minister Reimer emphasized the use of better engineering standards, coordination of roadworks with other infrastructure projects, and investment in training and capacity building. Work is also being tendered for substantial asphalt patching and overlaying on secondary and tertiary roads. The road improvement strategy represents a systematic effort to address long-standing issues in the Virgin Islands through significant capital investment, improved technical standards, and capacity building. If implemented successfully over the 2-year timeline, it will help transform the state of roads across the islands. New WinAir route. Regional carrier Windward Islands Airways International (WinAir) expanded its network with the introduction of new air services between Tortola and Antigua. WinAir launched the route in July 2023 with one-way fares starting from around $200. As per their website, introductory round-trip ticket prices ranged between $400 and $600, marking increased connectivity and competitive options for travel between the two island destinations. The launch builds on WinAir's continued enhancement of its fleet and route network. It previously added a DHC-300 aircraft to serve growing traffic volumes in the region. As WinAir continues to expand choices for interregional island hopping, the Tortola-Antigua connection promises to facilitate travel and contribute to tourism growth for both the BVI and Antigua. It represents another vote of confidence in the BVI's tourism rebound after the worst of the COVID-19 pandemic. The introduction of Tradewind Aviation. Virgin Gorda enhanced its tourism offerings with the addition of new air services by Tradewind Aviation. The airline inaugurated commercial flights to the Taddy Bay Airport in Virgin Gorda in November. The maiden flight was welcomed by Acting Premier at the time, Honorable Kai Reimer, Junior Minister for Tourism, Honorable Luce Hart-Smith, Minister for Health, Honorable Vincent Wheatley, and other officials. Tradewind Aviation was represented by its co-founder, Eric Zipkin, and its Caribbean General Manager. In his remarks, Mr. Zipkin expressed honor in Tradewind being among the first airlines people called on when the airport reopened. He thanked the people of the BVI for placing their trust in Tradewind to be part of this milestone in Virgin Gorda's tourism sector. The launch of the new commercial air links builds on Virgin Gorda's already robust tourism product. It promises to enhance connectivity and make the island even more accessible to visitors from Tradewind's network. The addition of this trusted aviation brand also underscores confidence in Virgin Gorda's offerings and growth potential. Operational issues at airports across the territory. The British Virgin Islands Airports Authority faced a series of operational challenges at its airports over the past year amid increasing traffic and strain on resources. In May, the Terence B. Lettsome International Airport was forced to temporarily close due to an operational issue that was later revealed to be a strike by the airport's workers over unpaid wage increments and being overworked. This marked the latest in a series of closures caused by industrial action from staff in the control control tower. Subsequently, in July, Minister for Communications and Works Kai Reimer held a press conference acknowledging the employees' grievances. He cited the strain on critical staff from the recent expansion of flights and operations. The minister vowed to actively facilitate discussions between management and employees to enhance capacity, address concerns, and properly compensate staff. Later in October, the authority held an active shooter safety drill to test its crisis response readiness, sparking criticism on social media over the alarm it caused. Managing Director Kurt Maynal stated proactive advisories were issued and occupants were notified in advance to avoid panic. The exercise was deemed vital for upgrading security protocols and frontline team preparedness. Most recently in December, it was announced that covered facilities will be constructed in early 2024 to house exposed fire trucks from the Virgin Gorda and Anegada airports. This came after service interruptions in Anegada and Virgin Gorda caused by equipment damages linked to it being left unsheltered. The year marked increased growing pains for the airport's authority from expanding activity. While critical upgrades and capacity building are still needed, the government and management have signaled a commitment to addressing the pressing concerns of staff and travelers around safety, reliability, and working conditions. The one-year anniversary of the Park and Ride shuttle service. The electric-powered Park and Ride shuttle service, launched in Roadtown, has transported over 60,000 passengers in its first year of operations. Deputy Premier at the time of the anniversary, Kai Reimer, hailed the service as a resounding success for improving mobility in the congested capital. Introduced to reduce traffic jams, parking headaches, and carbon emissions, the shuttle links the east parking lot to 22 stops around Roadtown. It runs on weekdays from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. at full capacity during peak times. Minister Reimer said the initiative has been embraced by both residents and visitors who can now conveniently access different parts of Roadtown without a vehicle. The shuttle aids the long-term vision to pedestrianize more areas within municipal limits. Additionally, free parking remains available at the festival grounds and near the hospital for shuttle users. This further incentivized leaving cars behind in favor of eco-friendly park and ride options. According to Minister Reimer, the service has so far reached its main goals of cutting the parking demand, alleviating congestion, lowering environmental impact, and improving mobility. With over 60,000 riders in its first year, the City of Roadtown shuttle service has had a transformative impact that underscores the viability of green transportation solutions. As the service matures, officials will be focused on optimization and sustainability to cement it as a fixture in Roadtown's infrastructure that benefits both daily commuters and casual visitors. Jacka Wooding, 284 News. Of course, it has been an amazing year for tourism, and I don't know about you two, but I am certainly looking forward to taking advantage of some of these new travel options in 2024.
Yeah, and of course, my colleague Ron, you would have recently interviewed the Managing Director of the Bay Airports Authority, Mr. Kurt Maynal, and he would have announced plans of Caribbean Airlines making its way to the territory next year, and I'm sure that flight connects, not only to Antigua, but also to Barbados. And I'm sure persons will be traveling from here, to St. Vincent, from Barbados to Trinidad, and from Barbados to Guyana as well, too.
Well, Kamal, you raise a good point as it pertains to regional travel, but I'm going to just say it right here, plain out and direct. If we are going to take tourism to the next level when it comes to 2024, the government of the Virgin Islands has to do a far better job at, one, the infrastructure, their marketing, and of course, being intentional. You can't have such a pristine and detailed destination. You have persons coming and you have them, of course, taking photos of themselves in a pothole. It's just not going to happen.
Very iconic moment.
And I know you guys are not going to acknowledge that, but I'm going to say it. Like, we have to do better at making sure that we're intentional and, of course, highlighting the best and brightest of the Virgin Islands. And that's the only way we're going to take tourism to the next level.
Absolutely. One of the very important angles I remember covering this year was the fact that the tourist board is interested in having Virgin Islanders, local influencers getting involved in the process. And of course, they have active registration going on. So you could reach out to them and get your name in that pool.
And you would have seen, recently in the 2024 budget, Premier allocating some funds to go towards the runway expansion. So fingers crossed. Hopefully we see what happens, because we know every year, there's a talk about the expansion, but let's see what
I love your optimism, Kamal, but we could allocate all we want. Let's just put our money where our mouth is. That's it.
indeed.